All right, Coach, what was your takeaway from the space game against Houston? And we just talked to Philip Dunnam on that note. Obviously, you had a big day as well with the 3 interceptions and the pick 6.
Yeah, just obviously really disappointed in not getting the, not finding a way to win that football game. And there's a stop somewhere in that game that we can get. There's a version of us that can find a way to get one more stop in that game to give us a chance to ultimately win it. So just real disappointed with our inability to do that. And football punches that way. So if you give them an explosive, if you that a third down get converted or penalty or something along those lines, against a good opponent. A quality quarterback that has the ability to run the ball and get some of those tough yardage and stuff like that. And so, anyway, yeah, just really disappointed. And then probably like specific to Phil, you'd love to really celebrate, a tremendous performance on his part. And there's other guys that play well. Don't get me wrong, but that's a unique night for a guy, and it's important to. Like I said, to celebrate it in whatever way you can. I think they said Big 12 Defensive Player of the Week, which is obviously well-deserved. And the dude made plays for us now. I mean, you can't minimize. Those aren't just tips or lucky. Like those are big-time plays. And so give him absolutely tremendous amount of credit for it. And obviously we all feel better if it was in a winning effort.
Alex, you guys got to. Scott talked a little bit about this yesterday. You come out banged and bruised out of that game. What is the status of the unit look like right now? I mean, you obviously got the next man up mentality, I guess, as you move forward in this weekend with Texas Tech.
Yeah, I mean, you look on the field at the end of the game, and you're seeing some bunch of guys that and maybe didn't have as big a role kind of going into the night. And so we'll figure out by the end of the week, kind of in terms of availability and all those things, but. No, like you said, I know it's coach speak, but you get a lineup with 11 somehow, some way, and they can't all play D-line, they can't all play DB, and so you got to, piece it together that way. And so, making sure obviously we're smart too at this stage of the practice. At this stage of the season from a practice standpoint to make sure we're getting the guys to the dance, but still getting the work that we need to get in. So we'll manage that as well.
When we spoke with Coach Frost post-game, he said he wasn't making excuses, but the defense was banged up and gassed. How do you manage that as a defensive coordinator when you're losing guys like Malachi Lawrence and Nigel Lee Kelly on crucial drives in the fourth quarter?
Yeah, and you don't have the it's not available to you to kind of sulk about it or anything like that. It's just you try to as best you can, maybe in some ways manage the calls for the guys that are in there. Things that you otherwise might do. Not necessarily, holistically, but some things that those guys are capable of doing that you wouldn't put on the same plate as some of the other guys, and so that's something to bear in mind. It's not just the guys that go in the game for them, but all the pieces that are around them. So no, but I also commend the fight of the guys. I don't think what you certainly didn't see as you evaluated that the fight went down by any stretch of the imagination. I thought the physicality maybe went down a little bit. I was a little bit disappointed that way. And that's 49 runs and whatever it takes to get it done. Held them to a field goal in the end, which was a positive, but had in that moment had to find a way to keep a 0 on the board. So no, the battle was good. So I commend the guys that way, but yeah, and maybe in some ways got to find a better call along that stretch too.
Earlier you said there's some places you got to make a stop. Might the end of the first half have been a drive where Houston gets into field goal range? That might have been a place there you'd have liked to have made a
No,
stop.
it is, and then that's the margin is so small. It just and for most people, it's not unique to us, but you're looking at it through the lens of what 3 points means in that football game. Well, we know now. In that moment, you don't, but you know now, and so is it being more aggressive in coverage? Which in an instance where we played zone, should have played man, and then the final completion we were in man. It's like, God dang, should we have been in zone and maybe had someone in the window, and so there's not a magic answer for it, and you drive yourself nuts doing some of those things, but you also can't then dismiss it and say, well, that happened in the first half, so that's inconsequential to the outcome of the game. That's not accurate either, and so no, those 3 points ended up being huge.
Coach, you had 10 points off of turnovers in this last game thanks to three interceptions from Philip Dunnam, the first time that's ever happened in UCF history. What was it like to see him finally pick up a turnover this season, just one turnover this season, much less 3?
Yeah, in Phil's case, it was almost a daily for us in spring football, and sometimes you get nervous as a coach. It's probably like hitting home runs in batting practice, where you're like, save some for the game type of thing. But it just didn't come, through the first X number of weeks, and so I was excited for him because he has the ability to make those plays. We've seen it again. We've seen it not on Saturday nights until this past weekend, and I think also it's a visual for him is that confidence that comes from, and the best way to generate that confidence is do it in a game, and I think on the heels of that, we've got to finish the right way for a senior in those things, and so I think he's excited to take the field this week on the heels of that.
After Braden Marshall went down early on, it felt like Houston attacked Jair Brown in particular. How do you feel like he settled into that game? And going into Texas Tech, if Braden's not available, will Jair be the first man up in the nickel? Yeah,
Brown's our second nickel right now, and yeah, that's a tall order, and teams do that. I mean, they're going to find out. They're going to see, okay, well, who's that individual? Whether they have a study on them or not, they're going to attempt the best they can to attack you, and that could be a number of different positions, not just specific to the nickel spot. And so, no battle, throughout the course of the night, and gave up one, and obviously one he wants to have back. We certainly would love to have back. Again, margin being so small, it has a major impact that way. But no, a guy continues to work and practice for us, and no, he's the next guy up.
Yesterday, Coach Frost mentioned you and said, I'm not sure what you said. You said something about you just reminding him that, you got to go through the hard to get to the good, and you got some sort of message. I'm not sure what it was, but that really resonated with Coach Frost. Can you kind of elaborate maybe on what that messaging was going through this rebuild?
Well, I think just number one, we're all in this thing together, and we're fighting, scratching, and clawing every single day in that building, on that practice field to get the outcomes and try to find a way to get a win for our head football coach, and so I think as much as anything else, it's just as you go through it, making sure that all of us realize that we're in this thing together, and we can't be anti-hard. We can't. We're all in when things are well, and then you fracture when things don't. And I think my biggest message would be the same message I give to you all is we got to play better defense. There's a version of us that's got to find a way to win a game, and so that I want to scream that from the rooftop. And that's just what you have to do in this in a tough sport, man, for tough dudes, man, and then for tough guys and I use the phrase anti-hard. If you're an anti-hard guy, and just when the hard stuff comes, and you kind of cower to it, I just, as much as anyone, want him to know that the type of guys are on the staff.
Moving forward, you guys look to the best teams in the Big 12. How big of a challenge is it going to be starting with Texas Tech next week?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, tremendous football team. The ranking would suggest it. It's warranted and maybe not ranked high enough type of deal. They got tremendous personnel. They're coached extremely well. I think the minute you talk about personnel, you don't want to be dismissive from a coaching standpoint. They put just some real stress on you, both from a perimeter standpoint, from a blocking scheme standpoint. Offensive line is extremely well coached. A quarterback that just knows how to attack you. Running backs that are patient, but patient in a good way. From their perspective, patient in a bad way from our perspective. Otherwise, you kind of like when tailbacks might dance. No, these guys are waiting for that thing to pop and waiting for that thing to crease, and they have the ability to do it. And so can attack you in a number of different ways as you go through their season. Certain weeks it's maybe a little bit more through the air. Other weeks it's on the ground. And so, no, we know what we're walking into, and that's an environment that will be tough sledding, and an opponent that can back it up with their play on the field. So. But also just a tremendous challenge, and so we're excited to go.
Coach Grinch, at this point into the season, 3 more games left to go. Is the defense kind of is what it is, like in terms of game planning and the way your philosophy going into a game? Are you still looking for ways to improve, especially as you go into the later season? Of course, improve, but still looking for ways to expand in.
Yeah, you're always trying to look for, is there a role for an individual? Is there something from a call standpoint? Maybe it's not a holistic change, but is there something that you can, if you minored in it, is it something that maybe if you majored in, you'd have more success? What is it, using kind of the easy answer, man versus zone or zone versus man. Can we lean in a certain direction? Can that help us? Same thing from a pressure standpoint, all right? Is there a certain guy that's a better blitzer than someone else? Does that make more sense as opposed to just saying, we're going to send that checker or move this checker and some of those things? So you're always analyzing that. And no, and I think too is you, like you said, you're always trying to get better. You just and maybe from a coaching standpoint more so than sometimes from a player standpoint. But man, we're on that grass every single day, and working extremely hard. And believe in the practice element of things and the improvement, the development. We don't get these guys to develop maybe sometimes as long as we used to, but there's still that. You get 15 days in the spring. You picture that. You got 5 days every week to be out there with. Don't tell me we can't have a better version of us come Saturday. Otherwise, we should back off over the course of the Monday through Friday. And so, no, certainly the work continues. But and you start analyzing those things that maybe we could be better at.
We've asked Frost about trying to change the outcomes on the road. Obviously, you guys are 0-3 on the road this season. Do you guys change things in terms of habits or routine or preparation when things aren't going well? Like, what's maybe is this week going to look differently than it did against Baylor in terms of the Monday through Friday?
Not in a lot of ways. I mean, I think you have to analyze those things. I think sometimes too, it is I didn't come up with this term, but this phrase, and I can't remember where I read it, but the lazy why, and the lazy why is, there's one reason. If you just had, if we didn't do Chick-fil-A on the plane, if we did something else, we'd go win the football game. Or if on Tuesday, if we had 5 more reps, and so, or maybe we had 5 less reps, and then you can go into this as if there's one magic bullet that's going to get it done. We got to play better. We got to handle adversity better on the road. Some more obvious than others. We got to find a way to get takeaway on the road. We got to tackle better on the road. We got to do all those things that lend itself to winning the football game. And so no, yeah, I mean you look at certainly everything. I mean you can't ignore it and say and just pray for a different result. But on the same token, you got to believe in some of the things that you're doing and then not be naive enough to think that it's one specific thing during the week that could change everything, but certainly still analyzing those.
Coach, I'm not sure if you got a chance to watch film of Texas Tech this week, but as far as what you've seen of them through this season up to now, what's something about this Red Raider offense that has stuck out to you? Like, okay, I got to be prepared for that.
Yeah, just the consistency. I think from a week in and week out basis, it's really difficult to find that week and say that this was the week that they weren't. Weren't able to run the football. This was the week they weren't able to pass the football. Sometimes obviously, an opponent held the ball for longer and stuff like that. Maybe have to, dictate something from a, total yardage standpoint. But in the end result being the end result, and same thing with a couple quarterbacks playing as a result of injury and still finding a way to ultimately have success more than not. And so then you're saying, okay, well, there's moving pieces here. It's not just one guy that you can circle, and so I just would mention that consistency and toughness, and as much as anything, just that ability to run the football versus multiple fronts and some good defenses.
Back on Dunnam, how have you seen him grow since he's been with you and take coaching?
Yeah, I think it kind of speaks to the transfer element of things. I mean, how many position coaches have some of these guys had over the course of time? Are you the things you're asking them to do in spring? Are those the things you're going to ask them again to do in fall camp? Are those the things they might have to do during the season? Is this just something a thought or an idea? Or is this something that is the very specific to how we play that position, a job description, a certain role defensively? And I think the thing that he's taken to is having to understand, okay, well, these are the things I'm going to be asked to as what we call the field side safety spot. And I think what you see just from a consistency standpoint from his, where he stands is just an understanding that when he comes in on Mondays, you go through the work week, okay, these are the things that are expected of me over the, in the run game, in the pass game, from a coverage element standpoint, as well as, when we need you in the run fit and that. And so I think, trust over time, I think is critical, and not because he was not trustworthy on our side of things, or vice versa, not trusting the things that we're saying. But it's those common shared experiences that you have over the course of time. They coming in on Sunday, okay, maybe we didn't get, didn't make a play, and okay, well, how's coach going to react to this? Is he going to change something on me, or is he going to blame me for something, or something? Some of those things, and so that's kind of commonplace now. It's just the reality is until you get into the season, it's just there's a different relationship when you kind of been in the fire together. Not just in Phil's case, but all the guys. I think they have an understanding kind of where we stand and our expectations and our willingness to stick through it together and be in the fire with them and be in the fight with them and all those things. I think Phil's just one of those guys that I like to think he can feel that from us.
You coached a 3-interception guy or more in a game?
Oh, man. I think one time way back when at Wyoming, a guy by the name of Shamil Gary, I think it was he had 3. I think he had 3. Yeah, it's just coaching. It was just tremendous coaching on that day. In this case, it was all Phil. No, I know. I wish I could say it was commonplace. But, a lot of times those things are tips and kind of very unique plays when you kind of see some of those, which, again, they don't happen very often. But again, unique to Phil's case. I mean, that's just a dude making a play. And there wasn't, I wouldn't attach luck to those things, which is really cool, and give him credit for it. All right. Thank you all.
All right, Coach. Well, how's it been this week? Just getting ready for Texas Tech, coming off, a frustrating performance, I'm sure, on Friday night.
Yeah, back to work. I mean, that's really what it is, and really like the guys' attitude today as we hit the field. It's good. It's good to get back on the grass.
Steve, you guys got obviously a lot of injuries, kind of injury bug hit you guys hard at the Houston game. Quarterback, running back. How difficult has it been in practice so far to maybe have enough guys to be able to practice and get prepared for everything?
Next man up, and we go from there. I mean, not hard to get another guy in there. You get to this point in the season. We're dealing with some injuries. Cool thing is no one's making excuses. It's next man up, and we got smart coaches that can figure out the rotation of those things to be able to get through practice and try to put those guys in position, the guys that maybe haven't played as much, try to put them in position to where they're going to have some success so they get the confidence that they need and they will have to play on Saturday.
Spoke with Coach Frost yesterday. You said that Taven was dealing with a hamstring issue. During the game against Houston, obviously, Davi came in. What are you kind of evaluating at QB this week if Taven's ready to go, or what would you hope to see from Davi in practice this week as well?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. The evaluation piece starts with the health, as you alluded to earlier, and who can take full speed reps in practice because you're going to play generally how you practice. So that's a big part of it. We just finished really the first practice of the week other than the walkthrough we had last night and have yet to watch the tape. Have some ideas after watching the practice live, but definitely want to get back here in a few minutes and check the practice out, see which guy's doing what well, and then factoring that into where we have other healthy bodies and the guys we need to get the ball to and try to play into the strengths that we have. But it's been intentional this week and in regards to building a plan out to the quarterback strengths or the skill player strengths and the offensive line strengths based on the health that we got.
Kind of to follow up on that, I believe like when Taven came out, a big part of that was his hamstring and his inability to get away from the pass rush. What did you see from Davi during that final drive and him scrambling and picking up some extra yards?
Yeah, I mean, he did a great job, outside of the first play to start the series of getting everybody lined up and organized, and was able to rip off a couple real decent runs. There's a couple heartbreakers in there. No fault to Davi. There was a specific read on one of the plays. They busted the defense, and if he would have done X, then we would have had a better result, but that's not his fault. He was staying true to his read, and that would have been probably a game-winning type of play. But ultimately, what we saw from Davi is he's a fighter. He's willing to go out there and put his body on the line in a critical moment. That was good to see, and he put himself in a situation that you'd like to have some experience going into that last situation on the third down where we had a guy open. Nobody's beating himself up more than Davi, but the cool thing about that kid is his ability to bounce back, and that's been good to see the last couple of days as we prepare to play against a really good opponent. And, it's going to take all these quarterbacks throughout the week of practice to get ourselves ready to go.
What's the conversation like with Davi? How does a moment like that, you hope, build some character and help him in his future?
Yeah, you got to know Davi. Like I said earlier, he's a fighter. He's one of those guys that the moment's never going to be too big. He was hard on himself there at the end of the game. When you're your toughest critic and you're generally going to find ways to be successful. He's not an excuse maker in any way, shape, or form. But I don't think it wasn't that he wasn't ready for the moment. It's just we need to get those reps and experiences we're developing and growing as a team.
What more do you need to see from wide receiver in a moment like that in the end zone?
From that last moment in the end zone, oh, that was a good route by. We were just late on the throw. I mean, point blank. Period. It was a good route by Speedy. We had him open. We were off a half a count, and probably could have led him a little bit more into the end zone. But that was good execution by Speedy. We just got to make the execution on all 11.
Coach, Jaden ended up with his highest carry total of the season, if memory serves, after he had to step in for Miles there. Just what has his role been thus far in the backfield to this point, and how does that change now going to Texas Tech with Miles' injury now a factor into things?
Yeah, sure. I mean, his role has been, co in there with Miles, and we need to have multiple backs. We talk about this a lot, like going all the way back to fall camp, speaking to you guys, you need to have multiple backs, running backs, because you're going to get to this point in the season. Running backs get tackled, probably tackled more than anybody else. And that's generally when things are, you're going to get bumps and bruises. And the availability of Miles, we'll figure that out as the week goes. So as we look at the game plan against Texas Tech, if, Jaden's our healthiest running back, then, yeah, he's going to probably have to play a little bit more, and he's up for it. Man, he's a tough kid. Experience. He's an older guy, so the role that he's had is just increased a little bit, and then we need to be mindful of the other guys that are backing him up, just like everything else, the next man up approach, and there's going to be other guys that can fill his shoes, and then on top of that, trying to do other creative things with our personnel to spread out those touches, because you're going to get anywhere from 65 to 80 plays in the game. Just being mindful of how we're going to allocate those touches, and it doesn't always have to be the running back.
As you've said, you need multiple backs. So who else other than Jaden could we see take some backfield snaps, considering the injuries in the running back room right now?
Well, of course, AG, and he took some reps in this last game, so he'll be ready. That's a kid that works his butt off every single day, and kind of been an unsung guy that's bounced back and forth between doing scout team things, but also with us and always locked in. Really smart dude, obviously, coach's son. Like, he gets it, for a young guy too. So, excited about him and the opportunities he might get.
You've had a few situations now mid-game where you've had to go from one quarterback to the next. So what are those conversations between you guys as a staff, between you, Scott, Mackenzie, as far as, the play calling aspect of it and especially going from one guy up like Taven and another guy like Davi, where they've got two such, kind of wide-ranging skill sets?
Yeah, I think in the critical moment, like when it happens in the game when we may have to make a change, what's understood doesn't need to be explained. So those are quick conversations. We already know, and we've already discussed as a staff, okay, what are the plays that we like or types of plays that we like for each individual? Because each one of these guys has his own individual skill set, So when Davi went in, we made sure to at least use one of those timeouts as Houston was moving the football, and we knew that we were probably going to need to have some time to be able to have the full offense available because Davi was going in. If it was a different situation and we were thinking more pass game, then we probably just would have let that go to the 2 minute to save a couple timeouts, and that's just going to determine just quite simply like if you can throw it a little bit or if you can run it a little bit more than passing it. And we also know too, like we can just call the base offense with Davi because he's going to, he'll be able to make scramble drill a real viable play for us as well, which is probably what we needed a little bit earlier in the football game. In hindsight, obviously, it's easy to go look back. We had to punt the ball in the fourth quarter with plenty of time left. They did a really nice job of sustaining a bit of a drive, so we were kind of, okay, this is going to be the last series, so we wanted to make sure we had enough time and timeouts to be able to put that drive together. Time was not the issue. We had plenty of time.
As you talked about earlier, the running back room's a little banged up right now. But how do you maintain balance and kind of keep defenses honest with the run game, and how helpful has adding some of those sweeps and some of those plays for Dwayne to get carries or get the ball in the perimeter to help with kind of expanding that run game?
Yeah, each week, we're trying to put up the names of the guys that need to touch the football and then obviously play to their skill set. So for sure, I mean, you alluded to it that Speedy is a guy that we definitely need to continue to find easy touches for, whether that's a screen or getting him in the backfield or just line him up in the backfield. And we've been able to do some of those things, so we just lean into it a little bit more, knowing that running back depth is not where it was to begin this season. That's not anything different than probably most teams are dealing with at this point in the season, though.
What challenges have you seen Texas Tech on film present for this potential offense, and how tough is it going to be to go on the road and get your first win on the road this season?
Yeah, I mean, it's always tough winning on the road, especially in this league. The things that they present are they play fast and aggressive, and it's not necessarily the scheme. They keep it relatively simple so those guys can play fast. So we just need to be on, and we're playing on the road too, so we're probably dealing with a little bit of crowd noise and learning from some of the issues we had the last time we were on the road, just making sure we practice and simulate those things. But what it comes down to is just executing our stuff when we need to, and that's where we're growing to, that's what we're working on, and that's really where our mindset is, just playing the best version of football that we can play right now.
When you kind of look at that defense, though, what are the challenges you see when you put on the film? They're playing very well defensively. Their defensive line may be one of the best in the country.
Yeah, their edge players are special. The cool thing for us is we play against pretty good edge players every week in practice. So this is probably the closest thing to the looks that we get from the guys that we have to practice against. So those guys are really talented. The production is there. You can just look at the stats. Those guys do a great job of getting to the quarterback, and they keep it simple. A handful of other guys that are worth noting. Their will linebacker is a highly touted player for good reason. He's their leading tackler, number 10. Man, he's a special player. He has a nose for the football. Across the board, they have a good player at almost every position, and then they also have depth. So hats off to those guys so far of what they put together in the season. But what we're telling our guys and reminding these guys is this is college football Saturday, and we got an opportunity to go get after a really good team. But everybody, last time I checked, they tie their shoes the same way, and we've seen some really good players in this league already. So I'm not trying to make too much of that. I think our guys understand the challenge for sure, but I also think that, there's going to be things that we can take advantage of and try to play to our strengths.
We've talked about this before, the penalties. How do you, at this point in the season, make sense of what you're seeing and how fatal they are to you and how self-inflicted the wounds are during a game? I mean, what can you do?
Yeah, I mean, it is really disappointing. Some of the penalties we had in this last game are really untimely too. Coming off the sideline, first play of the second half, it comes down to a matter of discipline that needs to continue to get better, just quite frankly. Trying to figure out other ways that we can practice it. Today I thought we had a pretty clean practice, but there were still a handful of things that need to get cleaned up. And that's really just raising the standard, not just from the coaches, but from the players. And the first thing I do is I look in the mirror and the internal view of, okay, what do I need to do as a coach to clean some of these things up and help? I think Coach Frost might have alluded to you guys, the way we practice and where we're at with our experience is sometimes you got to slow down the drill to be able to, okay, give the detail that's needed, and then, okay, everybody back on the line, now let's run the play. Okay, where that's hurting us is that does not simulate game-like atmosphere, because in the game, everything is from one to the next, from one to the next. And we're missing out on some of those things just from where we're at. Part of that probably has to do with new people coming in to certain spots. So those things snowball at this point in the season. What we need to get is more continuity, and we need to get more of a higher standard of how we operate. You can't really put your finger on one thing because it's a combination of all those things. So getting in sync is really going to help that. And then raising the level of the standard. And that has to come from the players just as much as the coaches. But right now it's, okay, what can I simulate in practice? There might not be a specific play, but can I simulate this type of play going to that type of play? So the transitions. As you watch the tape, you're generally going to get, like I said, 65 to 80 plays of football. 40 of those are going to be like your first and second down mix calls. Some of those are going to be your third down. Some of those are going to be your red zone. What's not on film is the transition from play to play. Okay, so what I mean by that is when they cut the film and everything that's coming on from the sideline or everything that's going on, communication from coach to player, that's the area that we need to improve the most. Because generally what that means is if we get more efficient there's going to be more time on the play clock, a little bit more grace and relationship to be able to get firm feet. So I can't say that one enough, getting firm feet. Firm feet means set, knowing my job, being in position, not have to move around, get set once so we can snap the football and have some continuity.
How do you hold guys accountable when they commit penalties and you're looking at them on film and then you go back to practice? I mean, what's that accountability look like?
Really, I mean, there's all sorts of different cool things you can do in relationship to, but we're going to penalize a guy for this, right? The best thing that I've experienced is being honest and being firm and being consistent.
Coach, through this point in the season, the team has struggled on the road. Not sure if there's anything specifically, but what do you think has been one of the major issues for this team going on the road, especially now you have to go on the road against Texas Tech? What do you hope to see from out of that?
I want to see the guys excited to play, and we've had that at times on the road, but obviously a great environment that we get to play in front of our fans. That atmosphere Friday night was one of the best I've been around. very cool atmosphere. It doesn't really take a whole lot to get up and fired up to play in that atmosphere. What we need to do is we need to take on the mindset of being the villain. Because when you go into someone else's house, you go into someone's home, that's what you are. So I'd like our guys to lean into that, and I think that's a good thing because our players will be able to hold on to something and realize that it's really not about them, it's not about their fans, it's about us. And when we do that, that's when we generally play our best. Thanks, guys.
Hey, Philip, Coach Grinch all season has been emphasizing for you guys to get turnovers, get takeaways. So, you get the first interception, you get the second one, which is pick six, you get the third one. How did it feel the other night to have such a big game?
I felt good. Just the level of confidence he still instilled in us the whole week. You're on the same defense versus the same plays every week. Offense is just disguised it different to run the same play. So I'm knowing what's coming out there. It was a great game, great feeling.
Have you ever had a game like that before? 3 interceptions, and one with a pick six, and anything like that happened before?
No, sir. Every time I catch a pick, it's only one. Just hoping for two, praying for two. After I got my second one, I was a little surprised. Never happened to me, something new. But when I got that third one, it felt great.
When you had 2 interceptions in the game, plus the pick six, were you eyeing the hat trick? Were you looking for that third one?
Definitely. Miles came to me on the sideline after. He was like, "Why not 3?" Some of my teammates was like, "Nah, I ain't satisfied, bro. You could get 3." That's when I got 3.
What were some of your teammates' reactions? Because that's never happened before in UCF history.
Big eyes. I'm laying on the ground. They looking at me with big eyes like, "Man, we ain't never seen this before." I'm surprised myself. It didn't really kick in until they came to me and like, "Bro, you out here going crazy."
Take us through the pick six. What's going through your mind when you start the run?
That was my first one, so I'm just kind of filling it out. That was my first career touchdown, so I'm filling it out. When I got to the end zone, I'm really just soaking it all in. That's why you see me put my hands out, just soaking it all in, man. It was a great feeling.
Did it really just validate all the work you've put in throughout your career?
Definitely. I'm a firm believer in football gods, and what you put into this game, you definitely get out of it. So yeah.
You've been one of UCF's top defensive players all season, have had a great career. Obviously had the Big 12 Player of the Week too with the 3 interceptions. What do you think you're showing to potential scouts? I'm sure you want to try to get a shot to play at that next level. What do you think you've been putting on tape here this season?
I kind of feel like my first 3 years in college, I kind of put that I'm a ball hawk on tape. I could take the ball away, but as a player, I knew I had to tackle better coming into the season. So I kind of took a toll on that, and I feel like I've been tackling really good this season. I started off the season with no picks. This is my first game with a pick, so I kind of had to come into the season with a different mentality.
Getting interception in general provides such a swing from offense to defense. Do you feel that on the field, getting 3 separate ones, how much of a spark you provide for your offense?
Yes, sir, definitely. Just the way the game going, especially with the third one, it was a tie game at that point, so I could definitely feel the mood swings and the change of the game.
What has this season meant to you, especially having a big game like you did, and overall encapsulating your senior year?
Just coming in every day with these guys, I can't take it for granted. I love being around a great group of guys. We're excited going into this week to face a good Texas Tech team. And yeah.
What do you hope you've proven to people who may have doubted you coming into the season?
What can I prove?
No, what do you hope you've proven to people who doubted you coming into the season?
That I'm a great tackler. I can't really say nothing else because I feel like I said before, I feel like my first 3 years, I kind of put it all on tape. I got range, I'm lengthy, ball hawk, I'm a great safety, so the only thing I needed to fix was my tackling. So
You look at this, you guys going on the road this weekend to Texas Tech, a top 10 ranked team. Can you take that momentum that you had in that past game against Houston and maybe take it with you going into this game to try to maybe spark something going on with you guys?
Definitely. After the game Friday, I was already looking at this week. I'm trying to do it again. I'm trying to help this team, as multiple ways as I can to get a win.
What were the messages from maybe coaches, after that performance? Maybe was either on the field or in the locker room or this week in practice, like, Coach Harris, Coach Grinch. What were those guys saying to you after having such an awesome game?
Just not taking the effort for granted. It was there. Obviously, we didn't get the outcome that we wanted, but they're very appreciative of my effort and the way I played.
What's your cell phone look like when you get back to the locker after a 3-interception game?
It's crazy. I can't even get to everybody. I want to get to everybody because some be my folks, my family. I'm trying to get to as most people as I can, especially after a game and having to deal with a tough loss like that. Yeah.
Has it still settled in that you made program history for being the first player with 2 interceptions in a game?
Yes, sir. It definitely did. Mainly because I'm trying to press on and do it again. Trying to hopefully get 3-4 this game. Definitely trying to get this win.
What went so well for you in that game? What allowed you to get that first one, then open up for the second one as well?
McDonald's. Nah, I'm playing out. Just off the wake up, as a football player, you wake up in the morning, you feel like you get a bounce to you, you feel like it's gonna be your day. I definitely felt like that waking up. And I knew it was gonna be my day.
I think I said something in the broadcast. Are you related to Udonis Haslam?
Yes, sir. That's my uncle.
He's your uncle? You ever got any advice on him in terms of your, growing up in an athlete, or what's he maybe meant to you in your background?
Growing up, he had his own, thing going on with the Miami Heat. So I couldn't get a, good hold of him. But when I did speak to him, he's very hard on me, making sure I don't take no days off, no plays off, not a season off, making sure I'm always on top of my things, whether it's off the field, on the field, no matter the case. And yeah, I feel like that's definitely taking me to a next level. And he's definitely pushing me to where I need to be.
I know you guys wanted a different outcome, but just what did you think about the whole space game, the atmosphere, the uniforms, the vibe? What did you think of all that?
It was a great atmosphere. I definitely felt good. The fans definitely played a part in my performance too. I forgot to mention that. I definitely felt it all. I felt the energy.
Coming in the season, what has defensive coordinator Alex Grinch meant to you as a player, and how have you developed since he's been here?
With him being my safety coach as well, I feel like I could definitely benefit a lot more with the way he breaks down offenses. He gives me the ins and outs of the game, making sure I'm where I need to be every play, every snap. Yeah.
How do you want to finish out this season?
With a bang, with a few more wins. Hopefully we could get a bowl game to enjoy one more with this team. Like I said, it's a great group of guys. I'm sorry, can't take this for granted.
How you're going to this weekend? You're going up because you mentioned getting ready for Texas Tech. You're going up against one of the better quarterbacks in the country. You guys have faced like a murderer's row of quarterbacks over the last month or so.
Yes, sir.
What's been that challenge to be able to step up and face off against some of the best in the country, really?
Just going in and be ourselves. Can't think too much. Can't play timid. We're comfortable. We're calm, relaxed. We know the defense. We've seen these plays before from other teams, so it's not like we're walking into to a mystery, or what I'm saying. So yeah.
What stands out to you on film from Texas Tech?
Say that one more time.
What stands out to you on film from Texas Tech?
Intensity. They're fast, relentless, full speed. So we definitely got to match their intensity in order to withstand this week.
All right, thanks, everyone.
Thank y'all. Yes, sir.
Appreciate it.